exposing the propaganda and challenging you to use your brain. It's time to tap into the truth.
Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed time to tap into the truth. With you as always, this is your host, Tim Tapp, coming to you live from historic Roane County, Tennessee. Today we're basically going to be discussing how Obama's administration is pushing courts, working quickly as they feel more opposition rising, trying to force the courts into pushing these individual companies into paying for the contraceptive part of the mandate of the Affordable Care Act, a.k.a. Obamacare, a.k.a. Major Power Grab. But before we get into that, we're going to talk about a few other issues, as is often our tradition here. We go over several topics, and what we're going to do today is we're going to start out with something that I actually came across. I have a friend who is very much into archery hunting, specifically deer hunting by a bow. And he spends a lot of time on several different archery websites, designed for the enthusiasts, people who enjoy both just the target shooting, average archery, and those who actually are involved in hunting and that activity. He came across a posting, and he wanted to make sure that I saw it, and so he sent a full link to it to me, making sure that I had an opportunity, because we had had discussions before, and like a lot of people, he had had that highly emotional, visceral reaction that the administration and others had been hoping for after the Sandy Hook shooting. And that was, get rid of all the guns. Well, as I continued to have the discussion with him in regards to why that was a bad idea and how we shouldn't do it, I made the point then, if they were successful, it would still only be a matter of time before they came after your arrows. They would want to compensate your bows. And he gave me the, don't give me that, at that point in time. However, let me read you the link that he came across, and now he's kind of seeing maybe that I had a point. This was posted by a family-owned business known as the Old Town Archery Center. And they posted that, let me just read the posting to you. The Old Town Archery Center just received a notice without advance notice or question from the Travelers Insurance Company that our business and liability insurance would not be renewed. They have had a family business insurance with the Travelers in some way or form since 1971, without a single claim of any kind. The following notice was received by Old Town Archery Center on February 23rd of this year. And, quote, your business generates revenue from the manufacturing, sales, service, and or distribution of archery equipment or related products. Your policy is being non-renewed effective as of March 30th, 2013, since these products present a severe bodily injury exposure, including possible death. This policy was first issued to the company in 2005 without any claim having ever been made. The company that they purchased the policy from was recommended to them by the Archery Trade Association. This is a spin-off of the firearms industries and also a spin-off from the firearm industry's pre-selection as well. Archery equipment no longer also being considered a weapon. It appears that the Travelers Group is canceling insurance for any and all archery-related businesses, as well as firearms and related sports. We at Old Town Archery now encourage all friends, associates, businesses to consider canceling any and all insurance policies, life, car, home, business, etc., with their Travelers group of insurance companies. More companies will follow the lead of the Travelers in this country's largest insurance group. Please send a message to the Travelers now. We understand from an insider friend in the industry that individuals will be next. If you have any form of hunting license, participate in target archery or other shooting sports. We have no doubt that the current government trend is behind this, especially in view of the fact that archery sports are some of the safest activities. Excuse me. We must have insurance coverage in order to maintain our commercial license for Old Town Archery. We will have options, but all will cost significantly more. Now, the point of this is the government can't be seen to be behind these things directly. So what do? They put pressure on other businesses, other suppliers. Do they wanted a gun ban? What's been their primary purpose? How have they managed to go about limiting your ability to utilize your firearms if you're not going to hand them over? Well, they bought up almost every kind of ammunition they can get their hands on. Some people still feel that they're arming the Homeland Security for use here in the homeland for quelling whatever unpopular strife and uprisings might occur. And there may be something to those conspiracies. But I know for sure, as far as I can see, it seems to me like a backdoor policy to ensure their gun control. Figuring that most avid sportsmen who utilize their firearms on a regular basis target shoot or go hunt on a regular basis, they're going to run out of ammunition, and if they can't go get any more, what good is that gun going to do them then? It's backhanded gun control by controlling the ammunition. That's what I see, and that's what I honestly believe it is. Now, if there's more to it, heaven help us, because it is odd that Homeland Security is buying all this type of ammunition that doesn't even match up with any kind of weapons that are traditionally used by federal agents. Not that Homeland Security has a great deal of armed agents to begin with. In fact, most of the armed agents they do have, say Border Patrol, for example, have been basically handcuffed and told they can't utilize their weapons. What's the threat here? The threat here is almost the same as the shop owner that we discussed a few broadcasts back, who was being told by their bank that they weren't going to be allowed to receive their deposits in a timely fashion because they were doing business in the gun industry. Banking, insurance, they know businesses have to have insurance, especially a business like that one, in order to be allowed to stay in business. If they can shut down the distributors, if they will attack mom and pop business operations, well, I mean, let's make no mistake. The occupier and his ilk have no problem whatsoever in trying to destroy any business that they can. They're socialists. They're Marxists. There's no question about this. They believe that individual property rights and profitability are evil things and it must be stopped. Well, what really must be stopped is us, Americans, turning a blind eye to the plight of other people who are struggling, trying to earn a living, and they're being slapped around by a federal government that wants to overregulate or regulate somebody right out of business. And that's what this is about. And worse than that, the reason they want these people out of business is because they're still trying to disarm the citizens of this country. They're checking to see who's awake and who's asleep. They're checking to see what media outlets are going to report this. They're checking to see what talk show hosts are going to talk about this. They're checking to see what average citizens are going to get together and sign petitions and try and stop this stuff, because they're forming a list, ladies and gentlemen. They're putting together a list of the patriots who are left, because they want to know who they're still going to have to deal with. They've got the sheeple under control. They're after the rest of us. And if we let this pass, then they'll push a little further somewhere else, and eventually they're going to start moving their way towards picking the rest of us off. Also in the news, seems like the state of North Carolina, which has been issuing illegal aliens. They're not immigrants. Immigrants come here legally. Illegal aliens, they've been granting them driver's licenses for a while. Well, they're looking at making a permanent move to putting a pink stripe on the licenses that are designated for illegal aliens. An example of the North Carolina license that can be found on the website for the AP, if you want to look up pink stripe on NC illegal immigrant licenses eyed. That was initially posted back on February 22nd, which was the end of last week. Bottom line is, there's a new North Carolina driver's license set to be issued to some illegal immigrants, and it has a bright pink stripe and the bold words, "No lawful status." Now, supposedly this is raising concerns about whether the design will brand those who show it. The North Carolina Division of Motor Vehicles announced last week that they would begin issuing these licenses on March 25th, following a lengthy legal review. The Obama administration's Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program grants valid federal work permits to qualified applicants brought to the U.S. and children without legal authorization. Some Republican lawmakers in the state have balked at the idea, feeling that a bill to bar the DMV from granting the licenses until June. Bottom line is, what they're really talking about here is issuing a license with the express purpose of making it easily and readily available for you to know what type of license it is. Now, we do this with learner's permits in every state. We do this with other types of licenses. If it's a specialty license, if there's a restriction on the license, if you have additional qualifications, if you have a higher standard like a truck driver's license. Excuse me. Sorry about the coughing. This is not a different concept. This isn't a new concept. However, because we're dealing with a specialty group of people that will obviously be branded as bad people, you're the evil aliens that shouldn't be here. I don't know how much of that's really going on in North Carolina, but I don't hear. I'm very upset that in the state of Tennessee that we still issue licenses to illegals, because they have to have the license in order to get insurance. And when you have an insurance law in place, well, you have to make the accommodations, right? That's the logic that has made room for it and has allowed for it. So what's the big flippin' deal if these people have a license that immediately shows that their status is different from some other driver's status? That's pretty much the status quo, if you'll forgive the pun. Anyway, we're talking about people that are concerned